Yo, what's the deal? You know what it is. You should play upon the Bobby A. Jones coming at you live and direct with some thought provoking content. Yeah, I want to change the gears a little bit today. And I kind of want to move things in a different direction. But I also want to I want to take advantage of what's been going on as of late with the content that I created, Damian Porter, aka Chinaman, has created, and the dropout, I mean, Brother Dubs have created. And I want to say this. This is to Dubs, and I'm not going to make this video about you because I have other things that I would like to discuss and information that I would like to put out there that's far more relevant than you are, right? But so we can get to a point to where we better understand the inner minority racism between African Americans and Southern Hispanics, also known as Southsiders or Sureños. So what I would like to do, I have an amazing an associate of mine who would like to open up his platform and just give us the opportunity to come on there and discuss inner minority racism. So Dubs, this is an invitation to you, American Cholo, and Bozo. American Cholo and myself had this discussion probably about 2 years ago when when he had went up the no jumper and kind of like pressed AD and the no jumper staff and all that. I didn't like that. And also when he pressed, I guess Adam or Adam wasn't there, whatever. But when all the Soranios had went up there to no jumper, kind of like pressed the no jumper staff, and they had pressed Tiger made Tiger take down the Icon Amba video and all that. American Cholo, myself, Skip Townsend, Melly Mel the Hood Postman, and I believe CJ Mack. We were all supposed to get together on a live or in person and have a conversation about inner minority racism. The stipulations was we were not going to address or talk about any type of peace treaty between Sureños and blacks. All we were going to talk about is just inner minority racism between Southern Hispanics, known as Southsiders and Sureños, and African Americans. So Dubs, I consulted with my associate, and I would love for you, myself, Chinaman, to have this discussion with um you, American Cholo, aka Gil, and Bozo, and the representatives for the African Americans or the black community would be myself, Chinaman, and potentially Melly Mel, the hood postman, if he's not busy, or OG Bam. And we'll be respectful, man. We utilize active listening. Let's just get to the bottom of it, man, because this situation has existed for so long without anybody really just addressing it and getting into it. To I feel like now is the time to have that dialogue. Why do you guys have such resentment towards us? What does it originate from? And do you believe that it's anything that can be done to lessen that resentment that you all hold for us? You feel what I'm saying? What is the origin of it? Is it something that was just grown here in America in California, or is it something that can be traced back to, Mexico? Like, you feel what I'm saying? Why do you all hold blacks and others in such low regards in comparison to yourselves? And when, Mexican Americans or Mexican aliens, I don't want to say that, I don't want to utilize the wrong verbiage and everybody say, oh, he's a racist. He used this type of verbiage, but when Mexicans was coming over here, some of the first peoples to embrace them outside of themselves was blacks. We embraced them. I remember being a kid and my auntie and her friends discussing Prop 187. This is in the late 80s, early 90s, but I remember this. They was discussing Prop 187. And if I'm not mistaken, Prop 187 was going to give medical insurance, medical attention to Mexicans coming over here who was undocumented, who wasn't coming over here to work, who didn't have a visa. but they were setting aside something to give them some type of accommodations in case they got sick or needed some form of assistance. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of blacks voted in favor of that. My auntie was one of the ones, and some of her friends were some of the individuals that I personally know that voted in favor of giving, undocumented Hispanics or Mexicans coming into California, certain rights and certain benefits. Like if you all watch any type of old footage from the 1992 riots, the blacks initiated the riots, but the Hispanics were the main looters that continued to loot for the duration of time that individuals is allowed and permitted to loot before the National Guards came in. And this is it's data to support what I'm saying. There's videos and there's pictures out on the internet that says Bloods, Crips, and Mexicans together. That wasn't written by any Hispanics. That wasn't written by any Mexicans. That was written by brothers who have compassion and who had love for the Mexican individuals. So how do we go from that to going to this situation to where y'all have this deep hatred for us? And some of those videos that I'm talking about from the 1992 riots, you can hear in the background some brothers want to, man, what's up with these Mexicans? And another brother responded, man, don't fuck with the Mexicans. The Mexicans are like trying to live like we is. So how do we get to this point to where y'all got this deep hatred for us and y'all just switched on us and y'all just turned on us and we come from some of the same neighborhoods and barrios? How is it that we come from some of the same neighborhoods and barrios? As Wiggins just did as Wiggins just did an episode on Serenio Barrios, Serenio hoods or Serenio barrios that's allies or have a close relationship with black hoods. And on that, as you know, was the Gray Streets with the Watts Barrio Gray Streets. Um, it was the Gardena Treses with the Gardena either paybacks or the Gardena shotguns have a close relationships with the Gardena Treses. The 18th Streets have a close relationship with the Hoovers. The Playboys have a close relationship with the Avalon Gangster Crips, right? So if we in the same hood and we share hoods and barrios with one another, right? Why when we go to these correctional institutions throughout California, well, not we, you all align yourselves with the same Aryans, the same Caucasians, the same Anglo-Saxons who hate us, who use certain tactics to oppress us. So if you're familiar with me, right, and we go into a situation to where it's a controlled environment and we're dealing with these racist Caucasians, why would you align yourself with the same individuals that used to say no N words, no S words, which is, a derogatory term for Hispanics? I'm not going to say it, and no dogs at their places of business. I want to know, how did we get to that? How did we go from, we giving y'all soul food and y'all giving us tamales for, Christmas and all this? How did we get to this point to where now we in the county jail and now we on the streets and we beefing with one another whenever blacks venture into communities that's predominantly Hispanic? How did we get to this? That's what I want to know. Did we get to this? How did Southern California become so racist amongst Hispanics and African Americans? Curtis Hill, top of the top, my loved one. What's good, my love? Sending my utmost love and respect to you and the family. Keep doing what you do. Great work. I appreciate it, King. Totally appreciate it. So to Dubs, to American Cholo, and to Bozo, Gil, I would love for us to have this forum. I would love for us to have this discussion to where myself, you, potentially Professor Melly Mel, the Hood Postman, Dubs, Bozo, and OG Bam can come and we can have this. And as well as I don't want to exclude Damian Porter, aka Chinaman. But let's have this discussion, man, if y'all can. because I know it's certain things that you have to get clearance to discuss, talk about, address, and so on and so forth. Y'all don't have the liberty that we have. You feel what I'm saying? To where we can have this meaningful discussion. We can talk about where we believe everything went wrong. And in my opinion, from my research, it went wrong in the early 90s when Peter or Hector Hochoya, I'm putting his name out there because it's public documentation. It was all over Channel 11 News. But he had a junta. He had a meeting with young Sureños and he said, hey, we got to minimize killing each other. We have to target and kill the blacks because the blacks have the crack. We need to take control of the drug trade. So it was jealousy driven. I mean, coming up, y'all know when we was kids, man, coming out of the 80s and going into the 90s, the brothers had it going on, man. You feel me? Brothers was buying estates back then. Brothers like Renee McGowan, Benzo Al, just to name a few, Freeway Ricky Ross, brothers had it going their way, off the illicit drug trade. Brothers had the clout. Brothers had the motion. You feel what I'm saying? And when you looked at the Mexican Americans or whatnot, they ain't have that much traction. They ain't had that much motion. They didn't have that much flow. You feel what I'm saying? In comparison to the brothers, when the brothers had kind of like monopolized that illicit drug trade. So they sat back and they said, yeah, we want that. We want that for us. We want to control that. And how do we control that? We have to fan the flames of racism. We have to program the younger homies to look at the blacks as the enemy so they won't feel bad about going to war with blacks. And a lot of these blacks and young Hispanics, man, they went to elementary school with each other, junior high school. Now, when we get to high school, you want to kill me? Okay. But that's part of their indoctrination. They've been indoctrinated since they was knee high, like Damian Porter has said. So if it's part of if it's part of their conditioning, their programming, and their indoctrination, when they get into high school, it's not a hard switch over because we knew this was coming because we have been programmed to eventually get to this point, join the Vadio and be anti-black. It's part of their conditioning. It's part of their indoctrination. But we don't indoctrinate our youth to feel any type of way about anybody other than ourselves. And I don't want to fan flames of racism or hatred. But if everybody opposes us, and if everybody is programming their youth and individuals in their respective ethnic groups to be anti-black, then maybe we should take a pause back and be pro-black and anti everybody else until they prove that they are worthy to be in amongst our midst. Now is the time to intensify our self-appreciation of one another. Now is the time. And I'm gonna segue into something else in regards to this because we're under attack. And when I say we're under attack, I have the data to prove it. Yeah, we're under attack. Do any of you know where crack cocaine come from? I'm not talking about cocaine. We all know where cocaine come from. Cocaine comes from Colombia, and I believe Peru, in a small part of Brazil that's connected to Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, and all that by the Andes Mountains. That's where the main cultivation of cocaine comes from. But I'm talking about crack cocaine. What does crack cocaine come from? And why was crack cocaine dropped in Los Angeles, California, South Central and Watts, to be exact? Why? And I want y'all to, I want y'all to comment. Let's engage. Where does crack cocaine come from? Because I'm gonna tell you, and this revelation is going to be astounding to a lot of individuals who, some of y'all is going to be in disbelief when I tell you where crack cocaine came from. Let me give it a few minutes. Give it a few minutes. The origin of crack cocaine. Good morning, big homie. Much love from Big Girl. Peace and blessings, Queen. Much love, and I appreciate you for chiming in. I appreciate you, for making in on your player partner. If we don't get it together soon, we are doomed. Lack of unity has us all messed up, and I agree with you. That's why I'm so passionate about trying to put the information out there so that it can motivate, so that it can inspire our people to come together, man, because there's an agenda against us. And if we continue to live our lives um based off rap lyrics that degrade our women, and that promotes killing one another, degrading and assassinate one another, we doomed, like Kim folks said. Salute from Northern Cali, Stockton, man. Shout out to my Stockton player partners, man. I did a little time up there in San Joaquin County Jail, man. You know, working on side of the freeway when I was on the ranch or the farm, whatever they call it, the honor farm. You know, working on side of the freeway, cruising up and down Charleston Way and all that. You feel me? I did a little time out there, man. You know, shout out to all my Kim folks up there in Northern Cali, Stockton, man. On the reels, I appreciate you making in, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, man. Come over here and have some meaningful dialogue with your player partner. But let me give you this revelation. Crack cocaine was manufactured, created in UCLA. It was a pharmaceutical company by the name of the Rance Pharmaceutical Company that had provided UCLA with millions of dollars to intensify the effects of powder cocaine. And that's when they came with the biosodium carbonate or carbonate. That's when they came with the baking soda. Boom. They couldn't get it to lock. The Rance Pharmaceutical Company, they just couldn't they couldn't come to the conclusion on how we get this to lock so they can smoke it. So the Rance Pharmaceutical Company, in conjunction with UCLA, created something that they called Basuco. They took it to Central America, right? Within 6 months, it had eradicated a whole social class. Everybody that experimented with this Basuco, they neglected to take care of their hygiene. They neglected to take care of their responsibilities. They preferred to live amongst each other. They preferred to live in the streets. And all they wanted to chase was that Basuco. When they seen that the Basuco was successful, they brought it back. And where they put it at? Los Angeles, California. Did you not know that all drug epidemics here in America originated and started on the West Coast in California? Did y'all not know that? Even with the crank. Where does crank come from? Where does methamphetamine come from? It comes from the Japanese. Allegedly, the Japanese created it, put their allies, which was the Germans, up on it, like, hey, man, we got some super fuel. It makes the soldiers go harder. It makes them merciless. It makes them need less food, and they can march further off this right here. So the Japanese introduced the Germans to methamphetamine, and they start giving the methamphetamine to the soldiers, and that's why they were so ruthless, and that's why they was able to walk. They was able to march for days, and consume less food. But that epidemic here in America came from the West Coast. The government gave it to the bikers, and the bikers did what? Took it all throughout America. The what is it called? Psychedelic epidemic. Where did that come from? Came from San Francisco, up in the Bay Area, with the hippies. You feel what I'm saying? They put it right there, and then what happened? They took it all over America. The crack epidemic. That started in South Central California. They put it in South Central California because they knew the influence and this new form of rap, hip hop music, coming straight out of Compton. Crazy mother name screw from a group with attitude. The world was obsessed with this new form of rap. The world was obsessed with Crippin' and Blood. They put it in South Central because of the influence, and the cats from South Central looking for more lucrative business markets, they took it all over America. And now we have an epidemic. This is by design. But if you don't believe me, if you don't believe Bobby A. Jones, I got something for you. And this is from Ronald Siegel. And he's an astropharmacologist or something like that.
We're in touch with a lot of the underground chemists who are synthesizing new compounds, and they send a lot of it to us for testing. We don't give them any feedback, but we like to monitor what's out there in the street. And by the way, our lab was the one who discovered the crack epidemic, and we discovered crack 13 years before the word was even introduced into the lexicon.
They discovered crack 13 years before the word was introduced into their lexicon. The crack epidemic was started in the 80s. So you mean to tell me in the 70s that crack cocaine was already there? So crack cocaine is older than what we thought it was. So they perfected it. They took it down to Central America, did they thing, and said, "Okay, we got the right one, baby." Remember that Ray Charles commercial. But anyways, let's get back into it.
We had monkeys smoking cocaine in the basement labs at UCLA 13 years before the word.
What the? They had monkeys smoking crack cocaine 13 years before the epidemic in the basements, the laboratories of UCLA. And y'all still don't see that it's an agenda against us? Oh, this video gonna get real deep. We're gonna jump into it, player partners.
Because we knew it was coming. We wanted to make sure that we understood everything. We're working on the next ones already. Drugs that are out there now on the street that are not illegal.
Ecstasy. MDMA is the main component of ecstasy, right? In the early 2000s, had a lot of homegirls. I'm in the California Youth Authority hearing about everybody popping pills. It was a crew in Empirical's housing project called the Pill Popping Pussy Crew, right? And all they did was pop ecstasy pills, right? Some of these females gave birth to children and they never stopped popping ecstasy, right? Some of these females gave birth to children who were ecstasy pill babies. I'm a crack baby. I know what my defects is. We all know we all know the defects and the deformities of crack babies, right? My mother crack from allegedly. My mother smoked crack from me being in her stomach to me being pushed out. You feel what I'm saying? I give y'all that story another day. But we know what our side effects is, right? We know what our deformities is and all this, but have we ever studied what is the deformities and the side effects of these sisters popping ecstasy pills and what it had on these kids? We wonder why these kids are so emotional. We wonder why these kids don't listen. We wonder why these kids can't can't sit still. These kids are more emotional than we were. That's why they live their life through music. And the music that they're listening to is either go out and kill a nigga, F your dead homies, and all this type of nonsense. And they recite these lyrics as if it's spiritual hymns. And then they try to emulate what they hear in these lyrics because they're more inclined to receiving these lyrical messages because they're in their emotions. They live their lives through music. Why do you think the suicide rate is so high amongst the youth now? They're emotional. They allow the emotions to be their compass through life situations and hardships. They just can't take it. Why do you think so many of them is so prone to taking drugs? They too emotional. They don't know how to work and think through situations because a lot of their mothers was these ecstasy addicts. But the ecstasy that they were taking was contaminated with other additives that got us all messed up. And this is the truth. Our youth really have a problem that we overlook. And it's because of the substances that the mothers was taking. Now the main thing is African Americans and other non-Hispanic and non-white individuals gravitating towards the crystal methamphetamine. Now, what this drug gonna have on the youth? Because some of these mothers are not going to stop their consumptions of these illegal substances just because they're pregnant. They're addicted to it. That's what addicts do. So within the next 10, 15, 16 years, what the youth is gonna look like? All this shit is by design, man. You wonder why these kids are inclined to listen to Rod Wave and seeing their emotions and the other cat, rest in peace to him, Mo 3. Why they singing with so much hurt and so much pain? You feel what I'm saying? Because of the drug consumption. And then the food that we consume, it don't make it any better. Why do they have the Food and Drug Administration? What the fuck does drugs and food have in common? When you do your research, you find out that the additives that they're putting in some of these foods releases more serotonin and it makes you more prone to overconsume food. They put drugs inside of the food. But let's get back into Professor Robert Siegel from UCLA.
People are looking at.
And again, you're at UCLA.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
to let listeners know where you're speaking from.
So that's Professor Ron Siegel. And after this, don't take my word. I want y'all to do research on Professor Ron Siegel. And then you will see some of the weed that we smoke now, right? That ain't regular weed. I don't even smoke weed no more. Especially for those who have a strong intuition, right? When you have a strong intuition and you're vibrating a little higher than others, and you ingest some of this weed, it intensifies it to the point to where you think you crazy. You ain't crazy. You just vibrating on a level and a frequency that you're foreign to, and it may scare you. It may come off as paranoia. It's not paranoia. You just have to become accustomed. You have to gradually, incrementally get to that level of vibrating on that frequency. So if you're vibrating, and I don't know if this is an accurate number, but I'm gonna just say a chart. If you're vibrating on a 6, most of humanity is vibrating on a 3. You consume this weed, you ingest this weed, and now you vibrate on a 10. Man, that's foreign, homie. That can blow your motherfucking mind. See, what they don't tell you is a lot of people are ingesting weed and they're going insane. I have a homie from my hood. All he did was smoke some weed, had a panic attack. What he believed was paranoia. He never came back. Word is bond. What about the dude who had smoked some weed and gouged his eyes out? Did you know that those who consume weed before the age of 25 are more prone to becoming schizophrenic? Did y'all know that? See, they don't talk about these scientific studies. They keep that to themselves. And this is word is bond. Don't take my word for it. Research it. Research the effects of today's marijuana and how it can induce psychosis. Research this shit. The information is out there. But we big smoking weed. Oh, we big chiefing. But what you doing to your body? What you doing to your mind? And this all, listen, I seen all this unfold, right? When I was going through the California Youth Authority, when I was going through juvenile hall correctional institutions, right? I used to go to the back of the King magazines, the Double XL magazines, the Source magazines, and it had the advertisements. You can get paid advertisements in the back of those magazines, right? And the highlight after reading about our favorite artists and all that, but the highlight was going to the back and announcing, hey man, they got this program, man, in the back of the Double XL, man. When I get out, man, I'm gonna sign up. It say smoke pot, get paid. Scientific research was going into that. They was having you to come smoke these strains that they're releasing now and seeing the effects that it had on your body and the effects that it had on your mind. Once they seen that it was successful, they released it to the streets. Why we don't discuss this more? If you're going to smoke weed, man, and then you got to also understand now they have genetically modified weed. A lot of this weed that we consume now, or you all consume now, is genetically modified organisms that's capable of changing your RNA. Now they're working on strains that can change your DNA. They're saying that those who consume weed, these strains of weed, do the research, is more inclined to being they're more inclined to operate out of their femininity than their masculinity. So some of this weed is making more brothers inclined to be softer versus masculine. Do the research. They have food now that can change your RNA. They have food now that can increase the production of cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that's secreted in the body when we are under stress, when we have stressors in our lives, right? It makes you depressed. It can make you anxious. It can make you want to self-isolate. It can make you not want to engage. And it can lead to suicide. Have you ever thought about how two individuals can go through similar situations and one say, I'm done. I just can't do it, man. I can't live like this. I feel like I'm trapped. And then we hear about them killing themselves. But they just went through two similar situations. Why individual A decided to kill himself and the individual B is still here? Who's to say who was stronger and who was weaker? Because if individual A body is secreting more cortisol, and individual B body is producing a minimum amount of cortisol, This person feels trapped. This person feels like a prisoner inside of his body. While this person is just like, man, shit, that bitch left me, or man, shit, I lost my wallet, or I was in a dice game, I lost all the rent money. Fuck it. I'll get it back. But this dude is just like, man, fuck. No matter what I do, I just can't get over this feeling of being trapped within myself. I can't get over this feeling of hurting and feeling anxious or feeling like this and feeling like that. It's the production of cortisol. But there's certain things that we can go to Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and get to compound that, to combat that intense level of that those high levels of cortisol production. But they don't teach us this because they want you to crash out. They want you to say, man, it ain't nothing that I can do to resolve it. Or hang yourself or do whatever a person do when they successfully execute suicide. You feel me? So I had something else that I wanted to go into, but I guess I'll do like a part two because in Missouri, there's a high level of missing African Americans. Why are there so many missing African Americans in America? Scientific research. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that, man. I apologize that I didn't get into reading the comments, man. But hopefully something that I said resonate with somebody out there. We gotta protect our women, we gotta protect our kids, we gotta start eating better. Y'all gonna start seeing the changes within me. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm not consuming bread, I'm not eating sweets, I'm not doing the carbs and none of that. You feel what I'm saying? It's time to get right. Because when this society that we know it to be collapse and we see what's really going on, and martial law kick off, and the police aren't able to protect you, and all that's there to protect you is you and your circle, your family. You got to be able to perform. So we got to stop eating for comfort and start eating for performance. And I want to be a testament to that. And I'm gonna hold myself accountable, and I want y'all to hold me accountable too by sticking to my diet and excluding certain things out of my diet. You feel what I'm saying? As the months progress, I'm gonna start eliminating more and more and more and more out of my diet because we got to get ready to perform, man. The situation is this inter-minority racism and beef that we have at the Sureños. This shit is just the tip of the iceberg, man. There's way more coming. There's way more coming. Hey, but I'm about to jump up off this thing, man. I appreciate y'all macking in on your Ken, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I was supposed to tell yeah, I was supposed to tell y'all that, man. But if ain't nobody told y'all today, man, I love y'all. And some people's may question that and say, how you gonna love me? You don't even know me. Because I love myself, and you are a reflection of me. What's in me is in you. I love myself. I love me. And by me loving myself and getting to a point to I better understand myself, I can better understand other individuals. So I come with a whole different level of empathy, compassion, and all that. Don't get it Michigan screwed and don't get it up. You know what I mean? I may come on here and blase and all that, homie, but I'm giving y'all my genuine self. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all stay up, be blessed. If ain't nobody told you that they love you, I love you. On the Renegades. Hey, let's treat each other better, man, for reals. But Dubs, American Cholo, Gil, Bozo. Hey man, I'm sending that invitation, man. Let's have some meaningful dialogue. You feel what I'm saying? I got set up with this and this amazing Hispanic or Mexican brother, man, who's known as a scholar. And I don't want to release it just yet, put the information out there just yet, but I just, hint at it and just let y'all know to get ready for this. But we're gonna have some dialogue, man. And I feel like this is gonna be some next level conversation that the brown side, well, we are brown. I'm brown, you feel me? But that the Hispanics, Latinos, Chicanos need to hear as well as our folks. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all step and be blessed, man. Coming from your player partner, Bobby Yay Jones.